This is a tough problem. So it's about money. Money. So Juanillo has $20,000 and he invests it in two separate accounts with two separate interest rates. Right? He puts some in the 8%. He puts the rest in a 7%. How much did he put in the 8%? Good question. We don't know that amount. And by now, whenever you hear yourself saying, I don't know the amount or I don't know the value, that's what we call a variable. And we always call it X because X marks the spot. But if the 8% amount is X, what's the 7% amount? That is a good question. This is how you kind of manipulate this into an algebraic term. Let's just pick a number. Bam. Let's pretend that he invested $3,000 at 8%. So if he invested $3,000 at 8%, how much would be left over to put into the 7%? It would be $17,000, right? Because the total amount is $20,000. So $20,000 minus $3,000 gives us $17,000. Let's pick a different amount. What if he put in $16,000 in the 8%? So the difference between $16,000 and $20,000 would be what's left over in the 7%. So that's $4,000. So you're getting a feel for this? So let's just pretend we put X in 8%. What did we do before? Right? We subtracted this amount from the $20,000. So we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be $20,000 minus X. So that's the amount in the 7%. So now we can kind of do a little bit of algebra. First thing I'm going to do is parenthesize these to keep them separate in groups. So the amount of interest at 8% of X dollars, you would simply multiply. Of in mathematics means multiply. So 8% of X dollars, that's going to be his interest paid on the 8% account. And the same thing with the 7%. It's going to be 7% times whatever's left over. So that's how we write that. First thing we need to do is change those percentages into decimals. Never, ever, ever multiply percents. Change them back into decimal forms. So that becomes 0.08x, and the other one's going to come 0.07 times the rest of that stuff. So now what? We know how much interest is being paid, right? We don't know the real amounts. So what would we do next? That is a good question. There's one other part to this puzzle, is that there's a $250 difference in the amounts made from the interest rate, right? The 0.08 account earned $250 more than this one. So, example, if he earned $1,000 from the 8% account, then he would have made 750 from the 7%. Right, so this number has to be $250 greater than that number. We're going to turn that into an algebraic expression like that. Say that one more time. The 8% gave him $250 more than the 7%. So that's what it looks like in an algebraic expression. And you are almost home. So now we're just going to go ahead and do the algebra and multiply this out. Distribute it to this and this, comes out to be 1,400 minus 0.07. We're going to add like terms. The 1,400 and the 250 comes out to 1,650. We need to get the X terms over on the same side. We're going to add the opposite of this to both sides. That's going to come out to be that. Now I don't want 0.15x, I want 1x. And since we're multiplying by 0.15, if we divided by 0.15, that would turn that into a 1x. And again, what we do to one side of an equation, we have to do to the other side. And if we divide all that out, we get x equals $11,000. And again, okay, so we know the 8% amount. Now what do we do? Let's go back to the original problem, right? 8% of that amount, which we now know is 11,000, right? 7% of this amount, so 20,000 minus 11,000 looks like 9,000. And that is the answer to this problem. Hope you enjoyed it. MGZ is out.